When you talk about the model where we live, people get triggered. Wait, but why?
For that marvelous introduction, I put a spell on you. And now you're mine. You can't stop the things I do. I ain't lying. No! Don't look at him!
I'm starting with some quotes because this ties lovely into the definitions I've found and make it all, really clear onto what model or model means. If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency and vibration. Really good quote that. This will all tie in, guys, you'll understand when you see it. Words cast spells, that's why it's called spelling. Words are energy, use them wisely. Abracadabra is actually a Hebrew phrase meaning I create what I speak. Everything is energy and that's all there is to it. Match the frequency of the reality you want and you cannot help but get that reality. It can be no other way. This is not philosophy, this is physics. Einstein, this is what I've been saying. What we see is basically what I'm trying to get at in this video. Whenever we hear an opinion and believe it, we make an agreement and it becomes part of the belief system. Everything changes when you start to emit your own frequency rather than absorbing the frequencies around you. When you start imprinting your intent on the universe rather than receiving an imprint from existence. Thoughts are magnetic and thoughts have a frequency. As you think thoughts, they are sent out into the universe and they magnetically attract all light things that are on the same frequency. Everything sent out returns to source. You. My favourite quote here: the syntactical nature of the reality, the real secret of magic is that the world is made up of words. And if you know the words, then the world is made of, you can make of it whatever you wish. The world, this world contains a L-E-L, which is godly, so God's word is the world, and the world is the word. And that is from the creation itself. So basically what I'm trying to get at in this video is the reality is everything is a frequency, a song, a wave. So the more information, the more waves we receive, it changes how we perceive and it changes our belief system and we see the world in a different light. Basically what these guys have just been saying, and it ties in with the definition of the world, of the word, today's word, which is model, mod-L, and you'll see it coming up, guys. I'm just wowed by this. Model 1570 to the 14th century, again, great vowel shift. Likeness made to scale, architect's set of designs from Middle French model, 16th century modern French model, from Italian modello, a model, a mould, from Vulgar Latin modellus, from Latin modulus, a small measure, a standard, diminutive of modus, manner, measure, from pi root med, take appropriate measures, sense of standard for imitation or comparison, thing or person that serves or may serve as a pattern of type. 1630. So that is what we think of and read out model as model. But now I split it up and find out what sounds good to me. Like I always say, guys, it doesn't have to be right, it just feels a lot better to me.
Model. Model.
Here we go, and the model for the definition is a three-dimensional representation of a person or thing or a proposed structure, typically on a smaller scale than the original. A model of St. Paul's Cathedral is an example. A thing used as an example to follow or imitate. The project becomes a model for other schemes. Verb, fashion or shape a three-dimensional figure of object. Malleable material such as clay or wax, using the icing to model a house, and use a system, procedure, etc. as an example to follow or imitate. The research method was modelled on previous work. There we go, guys. There is a definition of
model.
And just because it talks about imitate.
Imitate. Imitate.
Take or follow as a model. Similar. Copy a person's speech and mannerisms, especially for comic effect. Copy or simulate. Synthetic fabrics can now imitate everything from silk to rubber. Just interesting, all the terms used for model. How there's so many different etymologies for words, isn't there? Mod, an unconventional modern style fashionable dress originated in England in the 60s. The mods, they were called. Etymology for modas, from me, cognate with Old High German muat or mut, or Old Saxon mod, jut, moed, Old Norse moa, Swedish mod, Gothic, and then some numbers. The Indo-European root was also the source of the ancient Greek for that word, mod, which is mos, M-O-S, and I'm going to show you something on that as well, just to tie it in. In these quick etymology videos, I like to call spell etymology. It's just to look at alternatives that mean something to me. Doesn't mean it's correct. But when we're looking at the word mod, and also mod L, obviously L is God. That's self-explanatory, that one. But when we're looking at the mod and then mos in a minute, because they mean both, look at the mod. Latin, measure, suitable, size, limit, way, method, rhythm, harmony. As I've been trying to get at in the quotes, this world is all frequency and energy. So depending how we tune that frequency in, which is information, which is knowledge, and we talked about knowledge in my last video, what it means, the gnost, and then the ledge, the doorway. When we open certain doors, the frequency that we receive modulates how we look at the realm. That is why people see different models, and why I keep saying it out loud. Everyone sees their own belief system. It all depends on information and song frequencies, energy that they are receiving. And these just scream that way, the quotes, and then what I've been saying so far. As you can see, mod, Latin, measure, suitable, size, limit, way, method, rhythm, harmony. Sorry. Comes from modulate, verb, modulate, modulated, modulating. To adjust or to adapt to a certain proportion, to regulate. In order to have the radio turned down low, is to modulate the volume to a normal level for easiest listening. All depends, as I'm saying, how we listen to this information, this frequency, and the knowledge. We interpret the knowledge in so many different ways. Remember, everything is frequency and vibration. So how these frequencies get basically put into a picture for our eyes to see in our brain depends on the information that we receive. So if we hear a different song, people hear different things. And this is what I'm just trying to get at in regard to the model. It just makes sense to me. Might not do for everyone, but you know what I mean? People will get triggered at anything. To change or to vary the pitch, intensity or tone, such as a person's voice or musical instrument. Jackie had to modulate her violin so the 4 strings had the correct pitches. So you can see when you're reading this out, the TV announcer was modulating his voice in order to avoid speaking in monotone or unvaried pitch with little or no inflection or cadence. And then just a little joke they've got: click, turning around, yak, 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 modulate, modulat, verb, to adjust or to regulate by a person's proportion, temper, softness, as to modulate a voice. Just picture this inside your head and how this world is. We are one big receiver and transmitter. So when we are receiving this information, how we interpret that is key. So if we interpret it as this realm being globe, if we interpret this way being flat, concave, or so on, this is how then our eyes picture what we see. Because if you think about it, if it is vibration or frequency, like this guy's saying, it's a frequency. So this realm is a frequency, or we're in some sort of simulation, and how we interpret that information, like I keep saying, and receive it, we portray what we see. Modulation, the transmission of a signal by using it to vary a carrier wave, changing the carrier's amplitude or frequency or phase. So model means modulation. So picture it, the transmission of a signal by using it to vary a carrier wave, changing the carrier's amplitude, what he's learned. Remember, when you didn't know it was flat or concave or whatever you believe in now, you thought it was a globe, because the transmission, the signal, that is how you interpret it. You didn't know any difference. And then when you got more knowledge, which is frequency, is a wave, it's energy, it changed your signal. You just received a different information. And then when you looked outside, you just said, wow, how did I not see this before? Because you didn't interpret it, the information, the music, the frequencies. And remember, model, so it's all this, it's the signal, it's the song, it's the frequency of God. The fact of changing in some characteristics way the amplitude, frequency or phase of a wave, or the velocity of the electrons in an electron beam. A manner of speaking in which the loudness or pitch or tone of the voice is modified. Sorry, I just couldn't resist it. The rise and fall of a voice pitch, a musical passage moving from one key to another. So, musical passage moving from one key to another. We're different keys. We're doors. We are doors, remember. And when our doors are open, we use a different key. Etymology, acts of singing or making music, from Old French modulation, acts of making music. From Latin modulatium, modulato, rhythmical measure, singing and playing melody. From modulus, I'm not going there again, to regulate, to measure off properly. So you can see what I'm getting at. I don't have to read anymore because that's just going into module and then modus operandi. It's just intriguing, and hopefully you can see what I'm trying to get at and why I'm just looking at the word of the world, which is model, which is obviously the spell etymology today. And to finish off, what does the Latin word mos mean? Because obviously they said the mod can mean mos too. The English for the Latin word mos is moris, will, inclination, custom, wont and usage, and a rule. Interesting. Right, so I'm just going to quickly round up what I believe the word model means, and then at last we're done. Right guys, so model or model means basically a custom frequency or vibration or oscillation from God, the creator. Now I'll emphasize that on a little bit, because when we were reading this, we're talking about how the amplitude, and I believe obviously that custom signal that varies depending on the carrier, the amplitude. Physics, it means vibration or oscillation. In astronomy, it means the angular distance of celestial objects from the true east or west point of a horizon or setting, because obviously some people believe that the energy comes from the stars, the planets, because it's all music and frequency. But to actually break it down more, the more we learn, the frequency we emit changes our surroundings. So the more we learn, the more frequency songs that we take in, that oscillation, because remember, we're all crystal, changes how we look and how we think. So basically, as I've just said, model means the custom frequency or vibration or oscillation from the creator. Right guys, hopefully you enjoyed that. And yes, it's just my interpretation of what I've researched. Doesn't mean it's fact, just it's part of my video series called Spell Etymology. Right guys, take care, stay safe, and always smile. Bye guys.